Hello guys, welcome to the video. This is just pretty much a beginner's guide on how to loop any tile or gym in Dead by Daylight as Survivor. Oh, hello Billy. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you take some tips from it, you learn one or two things. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Bye-bye, Billy. Starting off with Killer Shack. This is probably one of the more well-known buildings or looping areas in Dead by Daylight in any of the maps. So in Killer Shack, it will generally consist of 2 lockers, 1 window. There may sometimes be a totem. There will always be a pallet, and there will be a 50-50 chance of there being a basement as well. Basement could either spawn here or it could spawn in the main building. There could sometimes be a chest that spawns here, and if basement is in Killer Shack, then there will also be a chest down either here or in here. So the preferred looping method or looping path to take as Survivor would be to go in the door that has no pallet and maybe loop around this way, looping past the window, going back in. You can even vault the window, maybe even juke out the killer, see where they actually go. Sometimes they might vault through the window after you. In that case, you will want to go as fast as you can, constantly looking behind yourself, making sure you keep an eye on where the killer is going, and vaulting over. Sometimes the killer may, once you get to this part here, or maybe even once you get into here, they may turn back, and once you jump out, they will meet you here and they will hit you at this point here. So that is why one very important thing when you're looping any killer around any loop or any building, you need to keep a regular or an occurring eye on where the killer is. Looking behind you, making sure that you see the red stain. Once you see the red stain, you can vault over, and just making sure that they're not backtracking on themselves. When you're at Killer Shack and you're about to vault the window here and you're looking behind you to see the red stain, you may see the red stain of the killer around here when you're about to vault, but sometimes the killer can actually use that to almost juke you out and make you vault the window. When you vault the window, then they'll have moonwalked back the way, they'll have walked back the way here, and they'll hit you about here. So that's something to watch out for with the killers, that they can moonwalk back, make it look like they're following you in through, but they can actually come back out and around once you've vaulted and hit you in this area here. When you're looping the killer on the outside of Killer Shack, you can almost fake a window vault by taking a big long turn around the outside, coming out very wide around here, and making it look like you're about to vault in, but actually fake it out. Sometimes the killer will actually M1, or they lunge at you when they think that you're about to vault in, and when you don't vault in, they'll actually miss you a lot of the time. So that's something that you can do. Take a big long turn around here, make it look like you're about to vault in, and continue on going around the outside of Killer Shack until you get to the pallet here. This can be especially useful when you're going around the wrong way around Killer Shack. This is not the ideal path to be going around because you can't get a good vault at this window here from the inside. So if you're going the wrong way around Killer Shack, if the killer is making you go around the worst way for Survivor, you can definitely use that fake window vault technique to gain a little bit of extra distance and possibly even throw the pallet or vault back over and around. Sometimes the killer might actually try and force you to go the undesired route or the undesired path around Killer Shack, making it very hard to get a fast vault going from this direction. You will have to take an outside curve if you want to get a fast vault. If you don't take an outside curve and you just go straight over, you'll get a medium vault. And doing that, the killer may very well catch up on you. If you have teammates that maybe have some perks like head on, somebody may hide into one of these lockers. When you're passing by here, killer might pass by behind you trying to hit you before you vault this window, and your teammate can actually activate head on, jumping out of the locker and stunning the killer. So the next looping area is the short wall. So here you will generally have one window to vault through, one pallet. There will sometimes be a totem that will spawn in here, and you would also have a locker as well. So the desired path around this looping tile will be to pass the pallet, pass the locker, go around the tile, over the vaulting window, and then at this point the killer can go two different directions. The killer can follow you around and come from this direction, and in that case you can follow the tile back around into the pallet and take the same route again if you still have enough time, constantly keeping an eye on the killer behind you. And this time if the killer takes this path and comes from here, if the killer comes from this direction, you can simply go back around the outside of the tile, keeping an eye on the killer. If the killer is still following you, you can come back and vault through this window again. Eventually the window will block itself, and once it does that, you can make your way around to this pallet and you can drop this pallet. Something to also be aware of is that sometimes the killer can fake a juke as well. So they can look like they're going this way and make you go this way, but in actual fact they've turned around and they're not coming from this direction, but they're actually coming through here, and they're going to meet you up here at this area here. So they can sometimes fake a juke, make it look like they're going one direction, but then come back and go the other direction when you're not able to see them over the wall. Here we have a long wall gym. It is named a long wall gym because of this particularly long wall that lies here. Generally also contains a vault, so something that you can definitely use to maneuver around a loop against the killer. The preferred path that you want to take as Survivor is past the locker, in through the pallet, and vault this window here. At this point it's pretty much a 50-50. You want to maybe outjuke the killer, make him think that you're going this way. Once he passes, you want to sort of go back the other way and maybe outjuke the killer that way. But when you vault this wall, when you vault this window, Preferably you want to outjuke the killer this way, make them go this way so you can go back around to this side. And again, you can use this preferred path as long as the killer is still following you relatively close by. Make sure that they don't try and take a shortcut through here. So again, you can just follow this path, go through this pallet, and again vault over this window. Some good plays against the killer can also be made here if you have a friend, if you have a teammate that has head-on who can hide in the locker whilst you're looping the killer around. That can possibly take some heat off you if the teammate can stun the killer as they're passing by. You may be able to go to a closer jungle gym if you've dropped the pallet at this one here, at the long wall. Again, the killer shack is here, so you can use this as an extra method or an extra object to loop around for a while and save up some time and allow the teammates to work on some gens. So here we have a seawall, and in the seawall you will generally find a generator. There will generally be at least one locker. There may be a totem that could spawn either in here or in this corner here, and it will normally contain one pallet as well. So at this seawall here, you will normally want to go around the seawall. Make sure you try and drop down the pallet as soon as you can, because it can generally be an unsafe tile. If you can't really see where the killer is, the killer may also use some different tricks to outjuke you and make you think that he's turned back around, and ultimately he's just doing a moonwalk and making sure he's hiding his red stain from you. So ultimately this looping tile is a little bit unsafe once this pallet is still up or if it's destroyed. It is generally a lot more safe if the pallet is down, as it can be an area that you can easily get caught in if the killer can use the right methods to outjuke you. And here we have a single standalone pallet gym. Generally there will be one side that is a longer side to loop around in comparison to the other side. You could sometimes find a totem in a small gym like this, or generally a hook as well. And the desired route around this small gym here would be to go around to the long side. With a lot of killers, you could see the top of their head around the hay, making it easier for you to see what type of path or which way they're coming from. And then once you feel like the killer is getting quite close to you, you can drop the pallet, putting again another barrier between you and the killer and getting away and getting more distance. If you go around the shorter side, we also have an object up at the top, making it harder for us to see which way the killer is coming from, if they've turned around or if they're doing any moonwalking techniques. to try and out-juke us. So again, it is easier generally to go around to the side that is longer to loop around. We can see up over to see where the killer is going, and it is giving us a little bit more time to react to what the killer is doing as well. So here we have a T&L wall. T&L because one side is constructed as a T, the other side is constructed as an L, thus a T&L wall. They generally contain one generator. They may contain one totem, one hook, and generally nearby you will find another looping pallet area or a looping tile, so you can use that to go back and forth between the T&L wall and the single pallet gym that you would have here, for example. So the desired route, the correct route, the best route to go around this as survivor would be, if the killer is following you from behind here, you can vault over the T window. The killer may come around that side behind you. Keep on looking at where the killer is. The killer may follow you from in behind. You can vault over again. Killer may come back around this side. In that case, you do want to come back around to the L wall, vault over it, and you can use these two windows to sort of bounce back and forth from each other. If the killer goes around the outside there, you can go back around to the L wall, keeping a constant eye. Killer may go back around outside here again, and if the killer does that, you can come back over to the T wall and vault that window again. Now sometimes they will come around a side that is undesirable, so the killer may come around to this side, and in that case, if you've just vaulted this window here, you can come back around this tile, keep an eye on where the killer is, and vault this window again. That's if the killer is following you and you see their red stain around here. If you see their red stain around here, then it is a really good idea to vault straight away. Sometimes the killer may double back, and once you vault, if you're not keeping an eye on behind you, if you're not keeping an eye on the red stain from behind you when you're vaulting, the killer may double back and hit you here on this corner. This is the cow tree jungle gym. Generally in this cow tree loop, you will only have one pallet and you will have one vaulting side. The other side here contains no vaulting window. So if you're going around the correct route and you're going around the tree, you can easily get a fast vault over this window and gain some distance from the killer. The killer may go around the outside, and if the killer goes around the outside when you vault this window, you will have enough time to come back around and make it towards the window again. Always ensure that the killer is following you, keeping an eye behind you on where the killer's red stain is going. If the killer does come back around through the pallet, you can come back around and if you have the distance, hop back in over that vault. This might make the killer come back around and double back. If the killer doubles back and comes through this pallet area here, then that's a good thing for you, the survivor, because you're going the correct route. You're getting a fast vault through that window. Eventually, if the killer does catch up to you, you will have to drop that pallet and give that some time. You may stun the killer, or it may just be a barrier between you and the killer to gain some extra distance and run away to the next looping tile. For this entire cow tree jungle gym, you can pretty much see over and through the majority of it, so you can see where the killer is for most of it. The only thing that could be in the way would be the tree, but in that case you do have, if you stay on this side, you do have a good sight and good distance to see where the killer's red stain is going. They may come around this side here, and if they do, you can vault this window here. If they start making their way around this side, you would be able to see in through that window there anyway, giving you enough time to double back and come through this pallet here, and if you need to drop it, then you can. So here we have a U-wall. This is a sort of really risky gym that is generally located on the outskirts, on the outsides of the map. There is not much wiggle room, as you can see. They are named a U-wall as they are shaped in a U. There is not much room to out-juke the killer or outmaneuver the killer. Generally, you may want to use these to try and maybe trick the killer if you want to go in and back around. But again, you may not get too much time out of this. They're generally not the type of gyms or vaults that you want to be messing around with too much when there's a killer on your back. Here we have the digger, primarily located in Coldwind Farm, but this sort of small looping area, or jungle gym we could call it, you pretty much have two sides. You have this side which drops down to the ground, and you also have this side which a lot of survivors tend to prefer. It is an area that is a little bit harder to get for the killer. Again, the killer can also get up here by coming up on this side here. They don't always have to just vault over this window vault here, so it can be a risky option. But if you are stuck in a position like this against the killer, then vaulting over this can be a little bit of time for you to make a small breakaway. And especially if you have balanced landing, it can be extra good, as you can get that extra sprint burst speed away from the killer. So here we have a 4-lane gym. This will typically have a similar structure from map to map. On one side you'll have the pallet, and on the third lane from that pallet side you will have a window vault here. So on the very far left wall, that will always be a long continuous wall, no gaps in between that you can run through. The next second wall will have a window vault. The third one will be broken in the middle and will generally contain a locker as well. And in between the third and the fourth will be a pallet. And the fourth one will generally be either a broken wall where you can walk through it, or a continuous wall as well. There may sometimes be a totem that is placed here. There will generally be 2 lockers. There's one here and one here as well. You will always have at least one pallet, and the pallet will always be on the opposite side of the 4-lane gym compared to the window vault. So you'll never have a window vault here and a pallet here next to it. You may have the window vault here and the pallet over here, depending on the particular gym. Or in this case, you'll have the window vault here and the pallet over here. You will never have both of them on the same side. The ideal pathing that you want to take, or routing that you want to take as survivor, is if you're being chased as killer, this can be a very, very sketchy place to try and outloop the killer. There are a lot of high walls that you can't really see over, and it can sort of be a guessing game if you don't really have a direct eye on where the killer is. But say for example the killer is chasing you from Killer Shack here, and you're running towards this 4-lane gym. Run towards the pallet here, drop this if you like, if the killer is close nearby, and then you can take a quick run over here and vault over this vaulting window here. That way you can also make sure that you take the long side away from where the killer is. Say the killer is about breaking the pallet right now. You can be up here. You can sort of out-juke the killer, make the killer come up one side of this long wall after you, and then once they're following up the inside there, you can actually come down around the outside. Here we have a Z wall. So there's not much to the Z wall. It is quite similar to the U wall. Again, named as a Z wall, named after the shape of the wall itself. If you want to use this, if you end up finding yourself needing to use this if the killer is straight after you, again, it can be a good area to vault, maybe even juke for a couple of seconds, but it is again very risky. Once you vault this window, you do have a 50-50 chance of where the killer goes. Again, you could vault it and just use it as an extra little bit of distance for you to get yourself to the next tile or gym. But there's not much to it. It is a risky area. If you do find yourself here, it is sort of down to a lot of it is down to luck and making sure that you do have a pallet or a gym that is nearby that hasn't been used yet. So here we have the broken truck. There's not much to the broken truck, to be honest. The broken truck contains one window vault. It may also sometimes contain one totem. There's not really much to it. There are 2 entrances and pretty much you could say 3 exits to the broken truck, and you do have this car that's always angled to the side of truck. So if the killer, for example, is coming from behind, you could go into broken truck, and if you have time, maybe juke out the killer. They may go back outside. You may even just vault straight through the window, and this broke down car here at an angle will give you a little bit of distance and a little bit of time to try and get to the next looping area or next pallet to try and protect yourself. But again, there's not much to the broken truck. You're probably best, as soon as you get in, vaulting through the window. If you start to juke the killer at this, and the killer is here at the stairs and they're waiting for you to vault over, the second you vault over, it's going to be a slow vault or even at best a medium vault. So the killer is gonna make it over to around here by the time you actually get down to the ground. So it's not gonna save any distance or any time at all. So again, your best bet is to, as soon as you get in here, vault over the window, make it an extra little bit of distance, and get to the next looping area or next tile. So here we have the broken bus. The broken bus could spawn a pallet right here, and it could also spawn a pallet here, as it does in this map. It also has one window vault here, and there could be a totem that could spawn here as well. Some of the buses, some of the variations of the bus do also have a window in here for you to vault through, but this variation obviously does not. So the preferred method, or the preferred route to take a survivor, is to go through the fully broken bus. You may have a pallet on that side in that bus, or you could have this pallet here to use as safety. Go through and vault this window, again keeping an eye on where the killer is behind you, making sure the killer is coming around this side. As the killer comes around that side, you can again follow through this path here, making sure you're keeping a keen eye, a good eye on where the killer is going, that they're following you. Eventually keeping that path. Once the killer gets a little bit too close for comfort, drop the pallet here and continue vaulting through this. And at that stage, you can probably maybe vault the killer 1 or 2 more times around here, and then get towards the nearest tile or looping pallet that you can. Do be aware as well that sometimes if you drop this pallet, the killer could make his way around this rock. If you vault this window way too fast without looking where the killer is going, the killer could cut you off and follow through, and could cut you off here. So do be careful that when you drop that pallet, the killer could break it, giving you a chance to flee and vault through this window. But if the killer does not destroy the pallet, then the killer will make their way around there, and they may not come through here. They may follow around the outside of the bus and cut you off right here. So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching until the very end. I hope you've taken 1 or 2 things at least from this, some tips or tricks, anything to help you with looping as Survivor. I'd appreciate if you checked out any of my other social media content in the description down below. Even my Twitch link account is down there. So I'd appreciate it even if you called over. If you have any questions, any queries, leave a comment down below. Call over to the Twitch when I'm live. I'll be happy to help you with your queries. Until next time, bye bye.